This is what every great documentary should have. Alright? Any DVD owner who's a wrestling fan should have this DVD in their library. Because this formula worked. What I mean by the formula is that they highlighted their most popular superstars. They highlighted most of their great rivalries. And it did basically a step-by-step on what happened to their company, which they failed. When they went down. This is something completely different. The reason why I called this video the Rise and Fail of WCW is because if you're looking for a step-by-step thesis or detailed accounts of what really happened with WCW, you're not going to get it on this DVD. It's very shady. Alright? Yeah, they went to the Vince Russo era and the NWO, and what they didn't do is focus on mainly the superstars that kept WCW going. The Stings, the Ric Flairs, Ric Flair, the behind the scenes of, the tension between Flair and Bischoff, but yet you have that on the Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen DVD, so I guess there was no need to go there. Ultimate Warrior, his appearance in WCW, which didn't last for very long, would have focused on that, and how ratings fell when he was on there. Most of this documentary, and within that hour and a half, was very, very shady. I mean, it doesn't go to any major details. What I think what pissed me off the most about this is that they didn't highlight the Hogan and Sting rivalry. They didn't highlight Sting's year hiatus from not wrestling. And they didn't highlight that rivalry between Hogan and Sting. Basically, no, between Sting and the NWO in general. Because it wasn't just about him and Hogan. It was about Sting versus the NWO. That whole angle that was built up upon 1 year after Fall Brawl of '96. It built from there with the Imposter Sting at the War Games to Starrcade of '97. I mean, I think that's what pissed me off the most about this documentary. They didn't focus none of the high spots that kept WCW up in the ratings. They mentioned most of the low spots. Vince Russo, David Arquette, I mean, the first hour was a pretty good hour. How the Crockett's had to sell and everything else, and how Ted Turner had to buy it. But the last 45 minutes were just, I mean, I think most of the focus was on Goldberg in the second half of this documentary. His build and his loss, and they buried Kevin Nash. They buried Jeff Jarrett. I mean, I guess if you're Vince, you got a company that tried to put you out of business for so long, how would you react? I guess you're not going to give it a proper due. But anyway, the matches are I didn't find the matches a lot great. I mean, in my mind, let me see, I'm going to go through this match list, and I'm going to go through this quick since I have a little bit of time. The rest of the match, the first matches, Flair Magnum TA, 6-man tag, all the way, and then you have Flair versus Hogan, where you can see on the Ultimate Anthology of the Hulk Hogan DVD set. Flair and Giant, I think there is no need for this match to be in there. Any match with Mysterio and Dave Malenko, good. But I like the Malenko and Mysterio matches on the Mysterio set. The Fall Brawl match with WCW versus NWO. If you have the NWO Back and Black DVD, that match isn't there. Uh, Now, this is what I want to talk about. The Six and Eddie Guerrero ladder match. NWO sold out. Now, this would have been a great idea if DX had a larger group. But even though DX had their own pay-per-view, they didn't really have their own pay-per-view, if you understand. Like, they didn't control it. Like, you had Bischoff controlling everything, and the set was extravagant. And every time a WCW guy would come out, the guy would say, loser. The funny part was when Eddie Guerrero came out. He said loser, and then after that they said, here's Mexican jumping bean Eddie Guerrero. That was great. But all in all, Guerrero and Malenko, great match. Jericho and Juventud, great match. Steiners and Outsiders, no need for this match. There was no need to put this match on. You would have put better matches in this, but I guess they had to show how popular NWO was, because, you know, Scott Hall doing the survey thing. Page and Malone versus Hogan and Rodman, highly entertaining. I liked it. Goldberg and Diamond Dallas Page, I think this match was a great match. And I have a couple of people that watched Halloween Havoc that year in '98 saying, I was watching Halloween Havoc and the feed just cut off. I mean, the pay-per-view just cut off. And I think that match had to be shown the night after on a Nitro, because nobody who was at home got to see this. But it was a very, very great match. I liked this match. You know, you knew Hogan, you know, I mean, Goldberg was going to walk out, but everything leading up to that, you know, to the final bell, I mean, that match was just great. How jacked up Page was, how jacked up Goldberg was, Goldberg in his prime. And Booker T and Lance Storm, I got nothing to say. Because there's nothing to say. Like I said, there could have been better matches on this, but the better matches you probably have, if you have Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, if you have Flair and the Horsemen. I think you have other matches too, but I think there would have been better matches. But anyway, there's my 2 cents. Later.